It's a bit difficult. Okay.
I think it's on extend. It's on project. There we go. Make it full. Done.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Inshallah, with the program would like to start. Can we please start with the loud salawats?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. One of the things that is very interesting to know is when the Imam reappears, what is the course that he would take, and what are the conditions that a person must have so that he is ready for the Imam to reappear and that he will actually help the Imam. What we have done, first of all, I would like you to know about the research I have done so that you know what is the basis of the research. The research that I have done is not my personal research. It is from the late Ayatollah Qurani, Ali Qurani. He is known as Ali Qurani. Ali Qurani, Sheikh Ali Qurani has a book known as Asrul Dhuhur, the time of reappearance. In the introduction of this book, he has actually delineated a map of how the Imam will appear. So he has done a good job, but he has done that based on the hadith at his disposal. So this is a very interesting masterpiece in itself. But we, fortunately, in the holy city of Qom, about, we can say, 18, 19 years ago, we called him in Daruz Zahra, a place where the World Federation has in the holy city of Qom, and they call guests to deliver lectures and so on, in different occasions of wafat and wiladat and so on. So what happened is that once at the time of it, apparently it was the holy month of Sha'ban al-Mu'azzam, and we called Sheikh Ali Qurani Marhum to deliver a series of lectures on Asrul Dhuhur and reappearance of the 12th Imam and so on. And I was present in those lectures and I actually benefited a lot. So what I did is, when he talked about how the Imam is going to appear and what is the movement, I said I should transcribe that. So I transcribed it actually, meaning I heard the video and I started writing each and everything which was important and how he explained based on the hadith, based on the riwayat, not speculations. So I did that, and then what I did is I made a kind of map and a small PowerPoint about this, and that is what we are going to talk about, inshallah, tonight. Now, one of the very important things which we can say, which is a missing link or missing links, is that you will find that the whole course that Imam will take would be Middle East and West, all right? First Middle East and then West. So then a very good question came about in one of my sessions, that what about Africa, East Africa? And what about Asia, for example, Philippines and Thailand and all these? A part of Asia, obviously, Iran is covered. So first of all, my response to that is that they will also be connected, number one. That is 100% because it's a global movement, number one. Number two, many of our riwayat and many of our good books have been either burnt or even stolen. And they are, for example, in places like Vatican Library. As I was doing a research on the manuscripts of Sahifa Sajjadiyya, I came to realize that, Sahifa Sajjadiyya has been dictated by two of the sons of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. One is Zayd ibn Ali, who became Shaheed because he rose against the then regime. And one is Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam. Both of them wrote Sahifa and it was dictated. And therefore Sahifa Sajjadiyya is not something that, for example, the du'as that Imam would recite and people would write down and then it was compiled as Sahifa Sajjadiyya. No. Sahifa Sajjadiyya is a dictated book. Now, the dictation of Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam is not known, but many speculate, and this speculation also is correct, that it is with the 12th Holy Imam as a wiratha, as something that is inherited, the one that is in the handwriting of Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam. But the one that is in the handwriting of Zayd is in the Vatican Library. And this has been narrated in a very beautiful account that Sayyid Ahmad Fehri Zanjani, who has written a 3-volume of commentary of Sahifa Sajjadiyya. In the introduction, he writes that an acquaintance of Ayatollah Shubairi Zanjani, who is one of the great Ayatollahs at the moment, an acquaintance of his would be, of course, perhaps not very near acquaintance, but he was involved in knowing the works in the Vatican Library. And he came to realize that the Sahifa Sajjadiyya that was actually dictated by Imam and it was written by Zayd was there in a casket in Vatican Library, and no one was allowed to even take a photo of that. Obviously, if we get that, it's like a sanad for us, that, proving the veracity of a Sahifa Sajjadiyya, which they don't want. And that is why no one is allowed to even take a photo. Today, if you come to the holy city of Qom, because of the resources available, if you get the right channel, you can take photocopies and photos of the manuscripts available. But such a manuscript, which is, of course, a very powerful Shiite manuscript, Sahifa Sajjadiyya, we are not allowed to even take a photo of that. This is one case. Another case that is very interesting, just to tell you that there may be some riwayat that also talk about Africa and other places, but we haven't got those riwayat, is about the time of Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi. Today if you go to the holy city of Qom, you'll find there's a very huge library of Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi, just near the Haram, not very far from the Haram. What Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi would do in the holy city of Najaf and thereafter in the holy city of Qom is he would gather manuscripts. And there is a very interesting anecdote about one of the very beautiful books that we have today, about 7 to 8 volumes. He said, I went to buy meat. And before, even in Kenya also, this was the norm. I remember when I was young, that when we would go to Choice Meat Supply or those places, they would give us meat, but in papers, isn't it? In papers. There was no plastic bag. And at that time, even now, it's better than plastic bags, obviously. But at that time, there was only, for example, they would cut some pages of a book, the directory, for example. They would not need that, and they would give us what we want, from meat, whatever. So he said, I went and I bought meat, and he put it in some papers, and I looked at the papers, and I saw this was one of our main books, Rawdatul Jannat. I said that I don't want meat. Can you, for that same qima and for the same price that I took meat, can you give me this book? He said, no problem. If you don't want meat, I'll not give you meat. This is the book that I'm tearing, take it. And that book, that manuscript, came to us today, 7 volumes, Rawdatul Jannat, about great ulama and their life history and so on. So you can imagine this is how he would save. In fact, it is said that he would recite a lot of Salatul Ijara, that is Salat for the deceased, just to get money so that he can pay for the books, manuscripts. He said that there was a Britisher who was actually delegated and given a lot of money, and he would give in pounds to the poor people who had manuscripts in their houses. So we had many manuscripts. For example, Madinatul Ilm is a 1,000 volume book. Where is it? Of Sheikh Saduq. We don't have it. Ask anybody about that book. They said, no, we don't have it in any of the libraries. So don't be surprised. It is either in the Vatican Library or one of the European libraries. And they know that the Shia books are extremely powerful and rich. So I'm just giving you examples of the past, of what happened to our books. And therefore, it's not necessary that if we don't have those riwayat about Africa and these places, that means the Imam hasn't anything to do with these places. No, Imam has to do. And also, another way of interpretation is that you'll find that the so-called third world countries are always connected to the first world countries, all right? In one way, either they are submissive to them, or they have any such conditions that they have to maintain and so on. And we know what we mean by this. So this is just to show you, do not be surprised about the missing links, all right? The missing links, because we do not have those riwayat at our disposal. Okay. Recite a salawat, please. Now, with regard to the reappearance of the 12th Imam, some riwayat tell us that even before him reappearing in Medina secretly, he is going to reappear where? In Iraq, but secretly. In Medina, he's going to announce that now I'm going to reappear in Mecca, so I'm gathering those 313 companions. But before that, he would be seen in Iraq. This is according to one hadith that is there. I didn't bring all the hadith about it. That would take a long time, many days, in fact, just to go through those hadith. So Imam will appear secretly then in Medina and begin his movement by contacting some of his supporters. And news about him will increase throughout the world, and his enemies would get afraid of his reappearance, and hence they would diligently search for him. Why diligently search for him? Because they want to assassinate him. Ma'adallah, na'udhu billah. And therefore, in Medina, as he secretly appears, he also informs the 313 that now you come, because 313 is not that they are only from the Middle East, they can be from Africa, other places, and therefore, and they have to gather in Mecca when the movement starts, that is on the day of Ashura. In Madinatul Rasul, the news will spread that Imam is in Medina. The state of Hijaz or foreign forces would call the army of Sufyani from Syria in order to control the situation inside Hijaz, which would be chaotic, and the battle of the tribes over sovereignty. Now, what does this indicate? This indicates that at that time, you will find that the Hijaz, that is Mecca and Medina, would not have stability in governorship. You will find that even now, the stability is gone. You know what is happening, that some of the relatives of the king or the person who supports the king and all that are not involved in politics and are actually deported, some of them, for example. Why? They don't want them to be involved in this. So there's going to be friction at that time. You'll find that the governments of Hijaz also would be short-lived. Like, for example, 1 year this person comes, another year two, this person comes, for example, from the family of these people who are ruling. But there is not going to be stability at all at that time, all right? Now, when they hear that the Imam is in Medina, what they would do, because obviously these Arab rulers will not be able to control, so they will bring Sufyani. Sufyani is from the progeny of Abu Sufyan, and he is known as Uthman. He, with his army, which will be a very big army, will be dispatched to find the Imam and assassinate the Imam. But Sufyani will not come himself. He'll just send an army. Now, what happens is this army will enter Medina and kill everyone whom they suppose is a Hashemite, is a Sayyid. And they will kill so many of them and their followers and imprison the rest, just through speculation. This is there in the hadith. Just through speculation. He might be the Imam. He might know the Imam. And so many would be also imprisoned, but they would not find the Imam in Medina. The Imam will then flee from Medina and head towards Mecca. Now here, there is a very important point. That means Imam will use the natural course. Not that the Imam doesn't have ontological sovereignty we talked about yesterday, that that connection of every existence connected to them. No, he is going to use the natural method that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants that should be employed. Otherwise, supernatural method would be a very easy, forthcoming and so on. Now, when Imam reaches Mecca, in Mecca the Imam will continue contacting some of his helpers until he begins his movement on the night of a Saturday, which would be the 10th of Muharram. All right? 10th of Muharram would be Saturday, the night will be Friday. So this is when the movement is going to start. In Makkah al-Mukarramah, these bullet points that I've made here are from the riwayat. So I have to read them, because if I don't read them, then I will falter in some of the things. I want accuracy to be maintained, and that's why I have put it in this way. Number one, the Imam's movement will begin near the Kaaba. It would be a Friday after Isha prayers. It would be the Ashura night. He will convey his first speech to the Meccans. His enemies will try to kill him, but would not be able to do so, because he would be surrounded by his supporters who would guard and protect him. Now, which supporters? The 313. The army of Yamani also. Mind you, if we were to look at it holistically, it would take a long time. So I am giving you bullet points and some general information. What we should do is go to the books and the riwayat in this regard. I will try to see if there is any English book in this regard that would help us, that inshallah I will point to that. But otherwise, in Arabic and Farsi, there is a lot at our disposal. As I said, one of the very interesting books is Asrul Dhuhur. Some time ago, one of the youth said that I will get it translated. I don't know if that has been translated into English language, but I speculate that it has been translated into the English language, the time of the reappearance of the 12th Imam. So what happens is his enemies will try to kill him, but would not be able to do so, because he would be surrounded by his supporters who would guard and protect him. They would gain control over the Haram and Mecca as a whole through the forces of Yamani, who will be in Yemen, all right? The Yamani himself and his forces who will join the Imam. So these forces would join the Imam first, but Khurasani and his forces would join the Imam after the Imam leaves Medina and he goes towards Iraq. On the way, they are going to join. So first, those who will join will be the forces of Yamani, as well as the 313 companions. And when you look at the riwayat about these 313 companions, it is so powerful. When they go to the streets and the stones say salam to them, the walls say salam to them. It's a very, we can say, another world for them, because they are those 313 which are the cream of the crop. And from the 313, 50 are known to be women. And this is something which is also very interesting, that shows that women also have a very high capacity to come to a level of realization of being a person to support the Imam. And So Imam will gather his 313 companions, 50 of which are females. Now, still in Makkah al-Mukarramah, in the morning of the 10th of Muharram, that is the day of Ashura, Imam will address the people of the world with their different languages and call them to support him. Now, this, if you ask a person who is a technology expert and a computer expert, he said, this is AI now. The Imam talking in Arabic, and it's being translated in all languages, and everybody getting in their own language. This is their interpretation. But actually, it's not that way. See, when I'm talking to you, although I'm using a language, but what sits in your mind are concepts of the reality. It's not the language. If I say sit down, doesn't mean sit down also is imprinted in your mind only. No, it means sit down. The meaning is there. So when the Imam, as I said, here is where that supernatural power is used, because Allah wants that. So sometimes I'm talking to you in Arabic and you are listening in Gujarati and you're understanding. Why? Because I have that ontological power. Bi-idhnillah, as I said. You see, everything, you see, the Imam has got that highest level of wilaya. Wilaya in grades. The highest level of wilaya is with the Imam. So with that level of wilaya, he will make sure each and every person, even the person who knows Kikuyu or Kikamba, whatever, will understand in that whatever Imam wants to say. Because what is important is what gets in the mind, the concepts, not this language itself. This is just a medium. It's because this language makes us, go through an interval and go through a kind of media or mediation to the main concept which Imam wants to convey. So this is something that I wanted to say, that when the Imam addresses, as the riwayah indicates, everybody will understand what the Imam has to say in their own language. He will also declare that he will stay in Mecca until the miracle that his grandfather had promised takes place, which is the sinking of the army who is heading to Mecca in order to stop his movement. You remember we just said that the Sufyan's army is going to be called? So now Sufyan's army, when it comes, it will come from Medina, going towards Mecca. Between Medina and Mecca, there is a spot which is known as Bayda. That is the place where when Sufyan's army reaches, it would sink in. When it would sink in, it would destroy the army. So Imam waits for that miracle to happen, because he said that the Prophet, my grandfather, said that this will happen. I'm waiting for that. And then the news comes that yes, this army has actually sunk down in the place which is known as Bayda, between Mecca and Medina. After a short duration, the miraculous incident transpires when Sufyan's army head to Mecca. So from Medina, because they had already come to Medina to find Imam Zaman, Ajjalallahu Farajahu Sharif, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. But they did not find the Imam, so they went towards Mecca, and as they were going at that place, at that junction known as Bayda, they are going to sink. When Imam with his companions and his forces reach Medina, what happens? Imam will take control over Medina after fighting against the enemy forces over there. Well, there can be remnants of Sufyan's army who did not go with the others. There can be other people who are against the Imam, but the Imam is going to have control over them. Imam unveils the reality of history and the grave of his mother, Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum. This is a very interesting incident. Even today when we go there, we don't know where the grave of Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam is. And obviously some of our riwayat indicate that bayna qabri wa mimbari rawdatun min riyad al-jannah. That rawda that is there between the grave of the Holy Prophet and the mimbar, which also is known as rawda, the place where people want to recite at least 2 rakats, and it's so difficult to get in. That is the place where they say that it is the place where Bibi Fatima Zahra alayha salam is buried, because there are a number of riwayat that say, Al-Qabru imma rawdatun min riyadil jannah aw hufratun min hufarin niran. That a grave is either an aromatic garden from the gardens of paradise, Rawda is an aromatic garden, or a pit hole from the pit holes of hellfire, right? This is what is there, and that's why they have concluded that, that is where Bibi Fatima Zahra alayha salam is buried. Obviously, there is a very interesting incident that because Bibi Fatima Zahra alayha salam's own wasiyah was there, that I don't want these three to come in my funeral and so on. Please make sure. And they did not. They didn't know. So in the morning when they were told that Bibi Fatima Zahra alayha salam is buried, they were, trying to say, where is it? And they went to Baqi. They were told that, because what one riwayah says that Imam Ali alayhi salam dug about 40 graves in Baqi and hid it. So actually the attention was diverted towards Baqi, that let us dig these graves. They had that audacity of doing that. And Imam then said, if you are going to dig these graves, then I'm going to take out my sword. That is when they said, okay, I will not do it, because up to that time they were safe. So they didn't do it. So the speculation is that it is in Jannatul Baqi, but it is not in Jannatul Baqi. We don't know. But the riwayat of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam have indications where the grave must be, right? It's not there. It's, for example, near the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum. Now, what I wanted to say is that when the Imam will come, he will not only uncover where the grave of Bibi Fatima is, but he would show what happened in Saqifa. That's very interesting. In our riwayat, we are told he would show really what happened. And many who are Sunnis will become Shias because they see it. Now, how would he show is something that is beyond my comprehension, at least. You see, one of the ways we can show people what happened is by taking video, isn't it? By recording a person, you say, this happened in this year, all right? That is acceptable to us after having looked at this technology. But what technology will Imam use and how he would unearth this reality is known by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't know. But it is there that he is going to show the reality. By freeing the Haramain, now he has already freed the Haram al-Makki, and now Haram al-Madani he is going to free. By freeing the Haramain, the Imam will have control over the entire Hijaz. After having control over the Hijaz, Imam now heads towards Iraq. On the way to Iraq, the army of Iran and their people, under the leadership of Al-Khurasani and Shu'aib ibn Salih, will join the army of the Imam and will pay their oath of allegiance to him. I don't know where I have written, but 10,000 people Imam will choose from Medina. And as he's going to choose the 10,000 people to go with him towards Iraq, some will say, Imam, I'm ready. The Imam says, no, you're not ready. The other will say, I'm ready. Imam says, yeah, you are ready. So the preparation stage is very important. We can claim, even when the Imam comes, that we are with you, but when the problems occur and when we want to fight, that is where the real test will come. So Imam, knowing the capacities of different people, will take at least 10,000. So it also gives us hope in one way, that if we are not from the 313, at least we are from the 10,000. And that is not all. There is a hierarchy. After even these 10,000, there are others. One of the scholars who passed away, a young scholar from Canada, Sheikh Asad, he, in one of his lectures, said something very beautiful. And I just want to repeat this, He said, even if Imam tells me that I clean his house or clean his washroom, that is enough for me. At least he has chosen me. At least I am from among his companions who he has accepted. That is something very important. Yes, we should opt for a very high station to be, for example, commander in forces and all these things in his army. We should fight and get the martaba of shahada and be with him, steadfast, as we recite in Dua al-Ahad. But let's say we didn't have that capacity, then at least, oh Imam, put us with you, at least in any place where we will do khidmah to you. So this is something very important when it comes to preparation. So when they will go towards Iraq, Khurasani is going to join. Now some scholars, not scholars, but some perhaps people, well-wishers, and I've seen even some students saying that, this Khurasani is Ayatollah Khamenei actually. If you look at his sifat and all that, I say never bring the misdaq if you don't know. When the misdaq is from an imam or authentic, 100%, then you can say, this is the misdaq, this is the example. But, so Khurasani will be a very powerful personality who would be the spiritual leader. And this Shu'aib ibn Salih, it seems, would be in that level of the government as a president or as a ruler at that time. Both of these, with their people, will join Imam. How will they join? Will they come, for example, together when the ships or airships will be passing by? The ta'bir and expression that is used is that saucers, discs, the word that has been used is discs. Discs, silver discs, for example, will come and in Najaf. Now, what is that kind of aircraft that they had silver discs? Some people say that it is the UFOs, the kind of the discs that we see. Some have other interpretations, but at least we should know that they are flying objects that will settle in Najaf. They will, from Medina, they will go to Najaf. Now, what happens is that they will join the Imam and will pay their oath of allegiance to him. Imam will then enter Iraq and clear its inner situation and fight against the remnants of the army of Sufyani there and make them flee. So it seems a part of Sufyani's army was there. So Imam overcomes them, and also remnants of Khawarij, the mentality of Khawarij, that of course one of the very good examples is the Daesh. All right? They have that mentality of Khawarij. Of course, the Daesh, not in the higher level. The Daesh in the higher level are evil, actually. I'm talking about those who are told and they believe that, yes, when you slaughter a Shia, you're going to go to Jannah. That is no doubt. And they believe in it. And if you look at them, they pray on time. They do all these things. But when it comes to this thing, they said, no, these are kafirs. These have done, for example, so and so. Unfortunately, some of our pseudo-Shia scholars try to curse Mu'minin Aisha, for example. They curse the three caliphs. Why? To cause that hatred more and more, so that Shias are killed and bombed. And people say that we have done it. For example, the Wahhabis, yes, we have done it, because this is something which is thawab. Not realizing that those pseudo-Shias, of course, I'm talking about, because there are many now. You go to the YouTube, you'll find so many of them now propagating against these three and propagating against Sunnism, but even teasing and abusing, which is not there in Shiaism. Bring one example where the Imam has abused or even talked bad of Aisha. For example, okay, Aisha made a mistake. We don't consider her to be a virtuous person. Okay, no problem. But that doesn't mean you curse Aisha or you do all these things which are not allowed. Tell me one of the Imams who cursed Aisha. One of the Imams. Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. When, after the battle of Jamal, when 40 horsemen, about 40 or 70, I don't remember exactly, were sent with Aisha to her destination, she complained. Because she said men were sent. But it was realized that no, they were women. They were sent, but in the face of horsemen, in the form of horsemen. So people would think that they are horsemen, not women. But women were sent so that she is respected. This is how Imam Ali alayhi salam deals after she went against him in Battle of Jamal. So we Shias are taught, be very careful of our tongue. Make the right steps. And when you talk to the Sunnis, 90% or 80% don't know the reality. Talk to them. Tell them, you find out. One of the things that I would encourage is that make them how to think first. The methodology of thinking. Once you know that now he's a thinking person, tell him, go to this library. These are the books. Look at it from your own books. Don't look at our books at all. Don't read one of our books also. And they themselves will come to realize that this is the reality. Whether we like it or not, whether we interpolate it or not, this is how we should face. Anyway, let's not stray. So the Khawarij also who are there in Iraq would be overcome. And then what happens after that? Then, after that, now, one of the things that we should understand is that in Iraq, when the Imam comes in Najaf and Kufa, Masjid Kufa is going to be the center of his government. The Masjid Kufa is going to be destroyed, and there's going to be a new masjid, as we are told. This masjid that we have, which is built by some of our Muslim brothers, the Bohras, don't think it's going to be this masjid with the way it is. No. Masjid Kufa, for your information, is larger than what it is now. It's even larger than that. Even some places outside is a part of masjid, but because it is not known, that's why we don't consider it masjid. But Imam is going to rectify and make sure and give you the proper hudud of the masjid and rebuild the masjid of Kufa where he is going to rule. Imam's government in Iraq, Imam, after having gained complete control, will establish his government in Iraq and take Kufa as his capital city. He will be ruling from Masjid Kufa. By this time, he would have control over Yemen, Hijaz, Iran, Iraq, and Persian Gulf countries. This is a kulli that I've told you, a universal statement. I have not given you the particularities and details of how all these will be taken. But we do have some particularities there in the riwayat. So it's a lengthy discussion. But I'm giving you a synopsis of the whole course that Imam is going to take. In some hadith, we are told that the first battle that Imam will fight after establishing his government is with Turkey, and he will defeat them. Turkey is a very ambiguous place, and we know it. It's a very ambiguous place. And even what has transpired so far of how even some of our enemies and those who really did a lot of fasad were from Turkey actually, were given facilities in Turkey. All right? Although the relations of Turkey and Iran are good, general relations. But if you look at some other things, you find that Turkey has a very important role in playing, in doing so many things which are not good. And so at that time, it seems the situation would be very much worse, and Imam would take Turkey and have power over Turkey. So Imam will fight. In some hadith, we are told that the first battle Imam will fight after establishing his government is with Turkey, and he will defeat them. Turkey will be toppled and surrender, and Egypt likewise will surrender to the Imam. So as I said, these are just statements I'm giving you. Some of them have details in riwayat, some don't have, but we are given the information. But these countries are there, all right, in the riwayat. Now, after having toppled Turkey, Imam heads for Damascus. In Damascus, Sufyani's army is there, because Sufyani is a huge army. Some of them went to Mecca and went towards Mecca, but they were sunk, for example. Some of them were there in Najaf and Iraq. Imam destroyed them. With a great army, the Imam heads for Quds, and on the way he vanquishes Sufyani and his army and his Jewish supporters and defeats them. In Quds, Imam defeats Israel and obtains control of the entire Middle East. So basically, as I said, there are many missing links. I've given you according to that thing, that beautiful articulation made by Ayatollah Qurani, according to his research of the hadith that are available, all right? So some of these have missing links that we need to read more about, or they may not be available, but we need to contemplate that what is missing between this and that. Anyway, so in Quds, Imam defeats Israel and obtains control of the entire Middle East. Now, after having gained control of the entire Middle East, from Mecca to Medina, from Medina to Iraq, and from Iraq to places like Turkey and Egypt, and then towards Syria, and all these, the whole Middle East is going to be taken over by the Imam. The West gets crazy and cannot withstand the situation and declares war against the Imam. All right? Now we are talking of Western powers, because Western powers are so much affiliated today with Middle East, and they have a lot of control and a lot of interests in the Middle East. You can see just because of what's going to transpire, what they actually warned Iran. For warning Iran, they had come with all their ammunitions and ships and all that, and they surrounded there, because they were facilitated by the Middle East. So they are actually connected with the Middle Eastern countries. All right? So the West gets crazy and cannot withstand the situation and declares war against the Imam. It would sound meaningful if we would say the Imam had come to the West, for example, somewhere, and then the West gets crazy. Why does the West gets crazy? Because they are affiliated. They are there. Their bases are there everywhere in the Middle East, and we know where they are. This is where Prophet Isa ala nabiyyina wa alihi alayhi salam descends. Recite a salawat, please. Salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Now, mind you, Nabi Isa has not yet descended, but this is the right time of descending, because there is a history behind that. Both Muslims and Christians get so happy. Muslims because they consider him as a prophet of Allah, and we know that he is going to come. And Christians because they were waiting for a person like Nabi Isa, and they would actually surround Nabi Isa and succumb and surrender to what Nabi Isa says. Prophet Isa suggests peace instead of war. At that time, now you see the West, most of the West are Christians, isn't it? Most of them are Christians, for example. So they are going to say that now that Nabi Isa suggests a peace accord, let's have a peace accord with the Imam of the time, that is the Mahdi. And at that time, Nabi Isa doesn't show himself that he is with the Imam. No. He shows that he is with the West, for example, and people are happy with him, and so on. So when he suggests, people agree. A 10-year peace pact between the Imam and West will be signed. 10-year peace. In the course of this transition, the Imam will establish his government and strengthen the government, because he had established in Iraq. Now he wants to strengthen and expand with his 313 companions. Prophet Isa will propagate in the West so that he makes them true believers. Even today, if you go and see in Christian literature, you'll find they're talking of Tawheed. They're not talking of polytheism, although we call them polytheists. Why? Because of Trinity. But they say, no, Trinity, you have not understood Trinity. 3 in 1 and 1 in 3. But they can't explain. They say that, no, here we are told, you can't explain, but believe in it, for example. So Nabi Isa will come and make them true muwahhids, that God is one, not the Trinity that you believe. This is a concoction, this is an aberration, this is an alienation from the right path. This is what he's going to say. Peace will continue for 7 years. Why? In some narrations it is said that when the West will see that the Imam has got technology that is beyond their imagination, and he can do things which they even do not think about, because the technology that Imam will come will be something that is beyond their imagination. We also believe that the Imam, as I said, the occultation is not an invisibility. No, the Imam is there. You think the Imam is just waiting just like that? He is active. And therefore, the technology that they have, when they see the technology of the Imam, they are afraid. And they want now to start war against the Imam and end the peace accord. The West senses that if peace continues like this, this would be at our loss, that is, at the loss of West. They would feel that Imam has taken from them everything, technology, progress, advancements. So you see, at the time when the Imam will come, they would be flabbergasted. What kind of person is this? We thought that we are of a very high level of technology and all that, but this is just beyond the ken of our imagination. So they would want to fight with the Imam, and these 7 years, after these 7 years, they will say that we would like to fight. Westerners would be coming to seek knowledge from the Imam's people. Now what will happen in the course of 7 years? The Imam will welcome people. You want to learn about technology? He would say that in the West you send people and we are going to teach them. So by that they will be actually flabbergasted. They will be surprised. This is the level of advancement. The West will then be divided into two, those in favor of Isa and those who are not in favor of Nabi Isa. Why? Because Nabi Isa wanted a 10-year truce. But a group of people said, no, now we have to start war. So Nabi Isa says, no, we have to continue the truce. So a group of people will be with Nabi Isa and a group of them will be not with Nabi Isa. They will declare war against the Imam. Now look at this. This is very interesting now. They would announce that peace has been cancelled. This is when Prophet Isa will declare that he is with the Imam. And he is going to pray behind the Imam officially. So all these years he did not. There was a reason. There was a hikmah. But now the Imam, the Nabi Isa will officially say, I am with the Al-Mahdi. Before it was truce, but now I'm with the Imam Al-Mahdi Ajjalallahu Farajahu Sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. And in the course of that, all of these people will become Muslims. Those who are with Nabi Isa and who joined Nabi Isa, for example, first as Christians, and then they came to realize what Tawheed is. And then Nabi Isa officially said that this is the Imam of the time and I am his follower, so you also follow. So all of them will follow the Imam. A great battle will transpire between the Imam and the West. You know, they will come all with their warships near Middle East to, do what they want and to fight against the Imam. The West dispatches 1 million troops near Lebanon, Syria, and Turkey and their waters. Imam will defeat and vanquish them. When the Imam defeats them, their people will demonstrate against them and reprimand them, saying, why did you break the truce, the 10-year truce that we had? See, because those people who would war, even today it's the same. You go to the West, you'll find maybe 50 or 70% are against what their political leaders are doing. So the people would not be at fault, but they would reprimand their leaders that, why did you fight against the Imam? Anyway, when the Imam defeats them, their people will demonstrate against them and reprimand them, saying, why did you break the peace? Why did you fight against the Imam? Etc. This is when the Imam and Prophet Isa enter West with takbir. So this is now they will actually overcome the West. And now when we say that they will enter with takbir, it has some profound connotation. The profound connotation is not that by saying only Allahu Akbar they will enter the West. No. Allahu Akbar min an Yusuf. Allah is greater than what is described of him. Allah is the greatest. So his rule now will prevail. And even that rule that the 12th Imam is going to have is not that rule that some people try to say he's going to kill the people and throw off their heads. No, it's not like that. Look at the sifat of the Imam and you'll come to realize that he's going to be atuf and ra'uf. And he will actually, you'll find that there will be different religions and he is going to maintain, slowly and gradually people will change. But what is important is that negative way of thinking that the Imam will come, he's going to, first of all, he's going to slaughter the scholars. That's what we are told. While that is not the case. The case is that those people who are defiant against the Imam and who are at war with the Imam, they are the ones who are going to be defeated. Not those people who, of course, there are levels of people and scholars and others. So everyone bihasabeh is going to be taken care according to the capacity. Now, you know, in 2009, I gave this PowerPoint presentation, and that time Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah was alive. So I was just picturing that, you know, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah would be there welcoming the Imam among those people who will welcome the Imam. But we lost Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah. And his personality is inexpressible, brothers. And we have not had sessions of mourning for this great personality, who is actually matchless and was matchless actually during his time. Anyway, he has a very beautiful video clip. I wanted to translate it, but I didn't have time. But inshallah, you go to YouTube, you will get it, of how he is saying that, you know, Imam's zuhur is qat'i, it is 100%, and this is what is going to happen. A small clip of his about how the Imam will appear. And this was in 2009, and today we don't have him. But inshallah, he is going to be from those who will return during the time of Raja'ah, and we are going to meet him, inshallah. Inshallah, all of us will meet him, inshallah, at the time of Raja'ah. The time of Raja'ah is when those who have pure iman or those who have pure kufr will be resurrected, or not resurrected as such, but will come with Allah's help, all right? That resurrection, which is the highest resurrection, is on the Day of Judgment. But before that, in Raja'ah also, it's a whole subject that, alhamdulillah, today, in this year, Maulana Sayyid Sikandar Kazmi in Mombasa tried to propound and mention some very important points about Raja'ah and how when the Imam comes and how the other Imams also will return after the 12th Imam, and how Imam Hussein alayhi salam will rule for 3,000 years. All these are there in our riwayat. And you know the tendency of a person saying, riwayat nakama che. That means that you are not from the specialist of hadith. I know of a specialist of hadith who told me that when the hadith also is, for example, mursal, an Rasulillah, it can be the most accurate hadith. You can't just say that because it is mursal, it cannot be accepted. And sometimes you have a hadith, a part of it is sahih and a part of it is not sahih. I'm talking about those who have studied hadith for years. And here we find some naive people saying, not in this place, obviously, I'm just saying that in some of the places, that, you know, oh, this is mursal, or this is khabar wahid, only one chain of narration, and therefore we don't accept it. No, there are mawazin, there are ways of actually judging and measuring the truth and the falsity of hadith. You can't just say that this is a hadith, oh, we don't know whether it's correct or not. If you don't know, then the most intelligent thing is say that it may be there, it may not be there, but don't deny it. You see, it's like those people who cannot see Allah and say that I can't see Allah, and therefore He's not there. That's not the case. Then not everything is that you cannot see. There are things which are that you can see. There are things that you cannot see, but they are there, even in science. Anyway, so this was a synopsis. As I said, I would like to make it in bold, a synopsis of the whole movement. Otherwise, there are so many missing links. And I said the reason is that there are some books that are not at our disposal. The second thing is that because now today in the globe, in the whole world, people are interconnected. You will find that these countries are subservient to those countries, for example. And number three, if you go and see, those people who are true believers, even if their governments go against the Imam, they will not go against the Imam. They will succumb and come and join the forces of the Imam. So this is how the situation is. Well, this is where I would like to end. And subhanallah, it's 9 o'clock now, so I have finished my 1 hour.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وعلى صل على محمد وآل محمد. My dear elders, brothers and sisters in Islam, Salamun alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, I'd now like to welcome you back to the second round of Bolta SAAJ. I hope I'm saying that right. So, before we begin, I'd now like to ask, we are doing a silent auction on some artworks that have been provided to us by some painters from our community. Media team, can you please put up the QR code? So the way the silent auction is going to work is you're going to use your phones to scan a QR code that's going to come up just now, and then it's going to show you the different light. Okay, hi. So then you will be provided up to a Google Forms where it will show you each piece of painting. Please put your contact number and please put the price that you're willing to bid. If you do end up being the highest bidder, you will be contacted, and the further process will go on. So please scan the QR code above me. Place your bids, place your bids. Ji. Okay, media team, the sixth painting does not have text where people can place their bid. Just wait, the QR code will take some time to open. Yeah, there we go, that's better. Yeah, there's some more. I'm not sure. Media team, I think if I'm not mistaken, there's some more paintings that are missing on the forms. So, we will put up the QR code again. Let's give media team some time to fix it. So now I'd like to officially start off the second round of Bolta SAAJ. Please let's recite aloud salawat. So tonight's debate is going to be held up by two teams. I'll start off with Team Hakims and Chachu, led by Dr. Mazai Jafar, Dr. Noshad Moledina, and Iqbal Uncle Keshwani, also known as Chachu. Please let's welcome them up to their respected seats. Please let's recite aloud salawat. So, going against Team Hakims and Chachu, I'd like to call up Team Halal Falafels. Now, I thought falafels were halal, but let's go on. Anyways, this team is led by Zerabas Uncle Kimji, my uncle, my cousin-in-law Irfan by Nanji, and my brother in faith and equal in humanity, Kumail by Murji. Please let's recite aloud salawat. So now, there's one thing interesting that I've noticed between these two teams. It's chairman versus chairman. We have our past chairman, Zerabas Uncle Kimji, our present chairman, Dr. Mazai Jafar, and your future chairman, and I'd now like to take this time to announce my candidacy for SAAJ 2027. Anyways, moving on. Okay, so tonight's motion shall be, is the community failing its youth in preparation, or are the youth failing responsibility towards preparing for the Imam? So I'll give a bit more clarification on this motion. So the first part, media team, can you please go back to the slides? So the first part of failing its youth in preparation. So are we as a community not hosting enough events, not having enough scrumptious dinner for our youth where we're preparing them for the Imam? Or are we, the youth, not coming for these events? So I hope that clarifies. Yeah, you're saying. Yeah, you're saying the community is not, you're saying the youth are not. Okay? So it's clear. Media team, can you go back to the previous slide, please? So, behind me is our current standings of the debates. As you can see, Team Jamaat Jokers have moved on to the finals and will now be playing the semi-finals of which is tonight's round. Next slide, team. Next slide, media team, please. Next again, please. Okay. So now let me get into the rules and how this whole thing is going to work. So firstly, we have our timings. So speaker 1 and speaker 2 from both teams will be given 3 minutes, while speaker 3 will be given 2 minutes only, and our respected judges will be given 3 minutes to present their final comments. With that, I would now like to welcome our judges. First off, Sheikh Zainul Abidin, our resident alim. Please let's welcome him with a loud salawats. Alongside him, that will help him judge him, is Sheikh Zuhair Jafar. Please let's Honorable Afed Secretary, past Afed Secretary Sheikh Zuhair Jafar. Please let's welcome him with the loud salawats. Next slide, please. So for those of us that were here yesterday, this is going to be the rubric that our judges are going to be scoring with. So instead of it being in percentages as it was yesterday, we've converted it into points. So each judge will give out of the total amount of points for each category. So the first one is argument / the point of strength. So that's 25 points. So how strong are the arguments? How supported are they? Then how effective, how the counter arguments, were they strong? Were they logical? Do they make sense? Number 3, how well did the team engage the audience / judges? Number 4, how well did they work together? And number 5, an audience voting system, which will be shown at the end of the PowerPoint. Next slide, please. So now onto the rules. We know that we need to make it fair to ensure that this is a fun, healthy debate. So the rules is please stick to time. So a buzzer will go off at the end of your time, and you will be given 30 seconds extra penalty, which will be shown in the next slide. So let me just explain it to you in an analogy. You're given wajib 3 minutes. Mustahab you can use from those 3 minutes, but it's makruh to use the 30 seconds last. So you're allowed to use it, but please don't use it. No, it's not haram, it's makruh. It's a haram after 30 seconds, yeah. Secondly, please be respectful of language and to the other team. We want to make sure it's a safe environment. We want to have a fun debate, and we have a younger audience in the crowd. So please be respectful. Any Quran or Hadith use must be authentic. If not, the judges will give the explanation at the end of why it was misused. So an example is like in the Quran it says Allah has a hand, like He gives out of His hand. So I can't come and say that Allah has given out of His hand, like His literal hand, for example. Audience, please be silent while the speakers are speaking. If at the end of their point you really liked it and you want to show appreciation, please feel free at the end of once they conclude their points. So at the end, once again I mentioned earlier, at the end you will be allowed to vote for the team which you found the most insightful. And the last rule is speaker 1 from each team cannot rebuttal each other. So if, for example, Dr. Marzari speaks first, and then Zerabas uncle you speak next, you can't rebuttal Dr. Marzari's points. The second and third speakers can rebuttal the other team's points. Okay, next slide, media team. Oh, my favorite part. So now this is going to be an example of our timer. Media team, let's run it down. we lowered the volume. Now, this 30 seconds is your makruh time. So please don't use it, but if you have that last point to use or something, please go ahead and use it. But we highly recommend, it is not very permissible for you to use it. Yeah, we lower the volume. Media team, let's lower the volume. We want our audience to hear the points that the teams have to provide. The prize. So the winning team will be given an opportunity to donate to a charity of their choice from an amount of $100. So the whole team will collectively decide which charity they'd like to support. And next slide. Okay. So with that, that starts off our debate. So our proposing team is Team Halal Falafels. If I'm Oh, you're against. Okay, so you're not proposing. Just wanted to make sure even you guys knew what you were doing. Yeah? So I'd now like to welcome the first speaker from Team Hakims and Chachu. Please let's welcome them up with a loud salawats.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My dear audience, my judges, my worthy opponents, mashallah. My motion that I'm here to speak about today is that the community is not doing enough to make our youth reach closer to Imam Zamana. And it's quite simple. Basically, I'm here to understand what we need to be able to get closer to Imam Zamana. If you think about it, we've been through the session about a few minutes back. Imam Zamana's uprising will require a lot of things from us. If you analyze that, you will then understand, are we doing that for our youth or not? Are we making them get closer to Imam as a community with our organization for them or not, for the youth? So, first of all, we realize that Imam Zamana is going to come and do a physical uprising. And therefore, we need people who will have physical strength, who will have physical abilities during a situation, even if it is a war-based situation, even if it is to do with skills of being able to tackle archery or tackle sword fighting or tackle wrestling. There are youth who are doing these things. Question, is the community making them do it? Second thing, our Imam is also going to require us to have knowledge to be able to fulfill his needs. When you look at the dua that we recite, Dua Ahad, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst the sabiqina ila iradatihi, amongst those who compete towards the will of Imam. How do you compete towards the will of someone if you don't know what he wills or what he wishes? Question, what has our community done to our youth to make them aware of what Imam Zamana wants from us, not what we want from Imam? Is it sufficient or not? Third thing, Imam Zamana will require us to have love for him. How do you start loving someone? First, you start loving them because you need to know them. Once you start knowing them and then you end up becoming in love with what you know, then you want to long for them. How much has our community done for the youth to be able to make sure they know their Imam more and more? And fourthly, we need spiritual strength. So, question is, what have we done for Imam? A lot as individuals. What has the community done? I believe there's a lot more we can do. I believe there's, I'm in makruh time. I believe there's a lot more we can do to allow us to be able to fulfill these correctly for our youth to be more attached to Imam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ahsant, our current chairman, thank you very much. Now we've gone into makruh time, so we won't hurt you for it, but maybe you can get a discount on lawajam or something like that for the audience at hand. So now I'd like to welcome up team Halal Falafels. First speaker, please let's welcome them up with a loud salawats.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. So we are the community and we are blaming the youth that they haven't done enough, which it should be opposite, I believe, since we are the youth, but we move. So the points I'm going to present is basically the youth. There are three qualities that I have mainly. The youth should be having knowledge, character, and sacrifice. And then I have points for every of these things. So let's be clear. Preparation is not emotional attachment. It is disciplined action. It is taking charge and being in the front line. Although you're a youth, but we can see example from the history. Karbala, Hazrat Qasim, Hazrat Ali Akbar. We all know their ages. They were youths. They were teenagers. Yeah. They took up the initiative. They went to battle. Like Hazrat Qasim, we have so many stories about him. The way he was persistently after Imam Hussein that, give me, I want to go fight, I want to go battle. Now I move on to points that actually impact our community. No one should take offense. So in this era, we have everything, yeah? Knowledge, we have AI, we have internet, we have all means of accessing knowledge, lectures, podcasts, scholars from around the world. And yet our Islamic literacy in the youth is declining. And our youth know more about trending topics more than what is actually going on in our Islamic theology. They can't prove God, but they know who Cristiano Ronaldo is and his whole family and his whole net worth. Make that make sense. Another point is our physical strength. So I won't mention that, but since I can't rebuttal, I wanted to rebuttal. I'm going to mention our community has provided all facilities. We have a gym. We have bodybuilders over here. We have a gym, but we have one bodybuilder out of how many? 1,000 people. Yeah? We have gyms, we have the MPH, we have all the facilities, we have the club. But still, how many people come for sports? How many people do we have signing up for Wednesday cricket or Tuesday badminton or whatever it is? We don't have people at all. Why? The youth. This is your chance. You've been given to show up. You're not showing up. So discipline is lacking. And I have 30 seconds. I'll go to the next point. Okay, volunteering opportunities. We have so many volunteering opportunities, but still people don't show up, especially it's a small event, but it has a lot of impact, but still people don't show up. They want to show up for the cliche events, the big events, the QC, yeah, where they'll be seen, they'll be making an impact. That's all. So I won't take more time.
Ahsant, Brother Kumail. I think he might have to start booking his flight back to Dar. So, thank you. We've started off the debate very friendly, very nicely, in a fair game. But when you have to cook chicken, you have to put high heat. So, inshallah, our next speakers can bring that up. So, I'd now like to welcome the second speaker from Team Hakim and Chachru. Please, let's welcome them up with a loud salawat.
It's very difficult topic. I'm neither an opponent nor a proposal, because I think both of the teams need to get together and see how we can lead the community forward. Because this topic is so delicate and we need the points from our side and from the opposition side. Now, as the government is ending this opposition, so we want to bring them together. It is so important that purifying the character. It's so important that community can do so much, but what cooperation we are getting from the others, like from the families. it's so important that everything starts from the mother's lap. If the mothers and the family are also cooperating with the community, then we can go forward. Yes, the community has got limitation, what they can do for, but we have to start ourselves also. Don't put the blame, everything on the community. But yes, we have to have extra classes. We are starting madrasa and we finish it at 16. That is not right. It should continue because education begins from cradle to grave. So it's very important that more emphasis should be given on the lectures of Imam Zamana. You can see that Sheikh spoke so nicely, and we were not willing to even have the debate. We wanted him to continue till Subah Namaz, because he spoke so well, and it was not enough time for him. So we should encourage our own, because Sheikh was born in Kenya, and he is so educated, but we are not taking advantage of him. It's not flattering, but it is the truth. Now, so importance should be given not speaking lies. Now, many times a guest will come in our house and I'll say, "Ene kahi de ke papa nathi ghare." So he will go and say, "Papa kida ke ghare nathi." So, we are making him speak the lies. The other thing is to make our children also very, very, confident. Now, the community is not taking enough this thing that we can make them warriors, how to use the guns, how to use the spears, because Imam Zamana will need all these things. But we are not putting them on that one, because we cannot say that our children cannot go in the war front. No, let them go. If they have to die, they have to die. But only thing is that we are ready for Imam then, including myself. But I am handicapped, I will not be allowed. So the other thing is that, many times the children get very afraid because there are so many peer pressure. So how to decrease that peer pressure and moral weakness? The community should attempt to that one also. Many a times that a child, it's on a lighter tone, that 7-year-old child will say, "Mama, I can't sleep alone because I'm afraid." So the child will say, the mama will say that, "No, you have to sleep because now you are getting old." So he said, "But Papa is more older than me. Why is not sleeping alone?" So we have to teach them all these morals and everything. There is a lot of social media and online immorality, addiction. All this should be addressed by the community. Counseling is very important. The community should attend to counseling for the children, which is so important.
Media team, please turn off the mic. Doctor, I think you even wanted to go into haram time. Anyways, Dr. Muluddin has brought up some amazing points that have sort of, lit the charcoal up. I think, Kumail, you might have to take him back with you. The points that he's bringing up is a bit concerning, considering it's Valentine's Day as well. Anyways, we'd now like to move on to the second speaker from Team Halal Falafels, my cousin-in-law, brother Irfan Nanji, SYU chairman. Please let's welcome him up with a loud salawats.
Youth chairman talking against the youth. Imagine it's the day of judgment. The youth comes forward to Allah. Can he really say that I didn't prepare because my community didn't prepare good enough snacks, or they were doing boring lectures? Spirituality starts with you as a person, as an individual. Right? Allah says it in the Quran very clearly in Surah Ra'd. What does He say? We can't change it. Allah will not change our condition unless we change our own condition. So it starts with you. So, with that, we often say that the community failed the youth. But what does preparation actually mean? I'll add on to my brother Kumail's point. Waking up for Fajr consistently. Controlling your desire in a very hypersexualized environment. Building physical, intellectual, emotional strength. Standing against injustice, not only globally, not only locally, but in our communities. Does that need the community, or does that need an initiative from the youth. Preparation means becoming the type of person the Imam would choose. If the Imam actually reappeared tonight, would we be saying, oh, we're ready for you here? It would be like, Imam, give us a little bit of time to fix our habits, and then we will come. The community didn't let us fix our habits, so we need to fix them, and then you can come. Then we'll be ready for you. It starts with you personally. So the community can do as much as possible, yes, but in the end, the responsibility is on you. We live in an era of comfort. We live in an era where everything is available to us. Tahsin, if you want to order some chai right now, easy, no? Take your phone, bismillah, chai is here in 2 minutes, right? So, comfort has weakened our resilience. We avoid the hardship, we avoid responsibility, we seek validation over discipline. That discipline is intrinsically built. The community gives you a facility, the community gives you the opportunity, but if you don't show up and you don't take that initiative, then who is the blame on? Allah will not blame the community on the day of judgment for your laziness. They'll blame your laziness, right? So, I'll use an example that my brother Kumail used as well, that someone like Hazrat Ali Akbar was young, but unmatched in his courage and his character. Today, many youth struggle with consistency, focus, accountability. So I finish with saying, preparation is an individual responsibility before it becomes a collective one. And that responsibility has been neglected by the youth. Ahsant.
Ahsant, Brother Irfan. Tahsin, you'll make it 2 cups of chai, please. Now moving on to our closing statements by the teams. I'd now like to welcome Team Halal Falafel's closing speaker, the one and only famous Chachu. Please let's welcome him with the loud salawats. Sorry, team... What was the team name again? Hakims and Chachu, yeah. So now Hakims have finished and now Chachu is coming up. Please let's welcome him with the loud salawats.
محمد صلوات اللهم صل على أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My respected scholars, alim, and dear brothers and sisters, except my wife, because Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Acha, this now has started a debate that youths have to, communities not doing anything. I would like to go for that. Community is doing enough, but the youth have to come forward and support the community, right? Now you just say that, okay, there was an individual who just was in the qawm. There's a qawm has to be stronger. Then, okay, now community, when you just help them for the youth to come forward and have lessons and classes and all these things, but youth, they don't turn up. How they can turn up? Because if you the time constraint is the time given to the youths to come to the community and get the help? No, I don't think so, because since morning, the parents are there in the offices, and when they come home, and then the children are told to please have the lessons of them. No, it's not practically possible, because this things has to be come up with the community, and then they have to give them the lessons and literature and teachers to be to come forward and teach the youths. But youths, they don't come forward. They don't have time. The youths, they are very fragile items. You know that. No, you can't just push them to just come forward and then have the lessons. No, you have to tackle them very skillfully. Okay. So this I just may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq to be amongst the chosen ones of Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu ta'ala Fajr Sharif. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Media team, you want to put me on a timer? Anyways, Chachu, we're not giving you makruh points because you made dua at the end, so that makruh points cancels out. Now we'd like to welcome in the last speaker, an amazing speaker. I don't know, I'm lost for words on how to describe him, but my uncle, very well known in the community. I'm sure you've probably heard of him here and there probably. Zerbas Uncle Kimji, please let's welcome him with the loud salawats.
Alhamdulillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So our rebuttal is, number one, physical uprising requires physical strength. Physical strength is important. But let's ask honestly, is the issue that the community did not provide wrestling mats, or that youth lack discipline to train consistently? Gyms exist, sports facilities exist, home training exists. If youth can train for aesthetics, football, competitions, why can they not train with the intention to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The barrier is not success. It is intention and consistency. Preparation begins with self-drive. Number two, Sabikuna ila iradatih, which Dr. Mazair mentioned, is race towards the Imam. Beautiful phrase, but racing requires movement. If we truly believe in racing towards his will, then why is Fajr empty? Why are youth circles low in attendance? Why are leadership roles avoided? When you cannot claim you're racing where you're standing still. Love without action is emotion. Love with discipline is preparation. You must love him, know him, then long for him. Yes, absolutely. But love is not passive longing. When you love someone, you prepare yourself for them. If a guest of honor was coming to your house tonight, you would clean, organize, prepare yourself. If the Imam was to reappear tonight, are we clean spiritually? Are we disciplined? Are we ready? Love is proven through preparation. Spiritual strength. Agreed. But spiritual strength is built privately. The community cannot wake you up for tahajjud, stop you from haram, force khushu in salah. Spiritual weakness cannot always be blamed externally. It requires self-accountability. The community can do so much. Dr. Molidina's point. Exactly. That supports your argument. If the community can only do so much, then the responsibility shifts to the individual. That you can do as much as you can, but ultimately it lies on us. I'm going to skip all these points because the time is done. I'll just do a closing. Preparation for the Imam requires physical strength, spiritual strength, intellectual strength, emotional resilience. The community can provide opportunity, but it cannot provide hunger, it cannot provide discipline, it cannot provide sincerity.
Ahsan's media team, I think they're getting better and better. Yeah, really. Ahsan. So that concludes our final semi-round. Media team, can you please put the voting link as the judges are compiling the results? Please, we have very limited time over here, so please get your phones out, vote for the team that you found most insightful. Here we go. Media team, can you please enlarge it? No, you're allowed to vote. Here we go. Yeah, you're allowed to vote. Tasin, don't vote, announce your vote so loudly. Okay, media team, can we please move to the results, please? We'll see the results live. Yeah. Okay, media team, can you please put the QR? Yeah, there we go. Okay, media team, can we please get the... No, don't show the results yet. Can we go back to the audience voting, please? The results, please. I saw there was no 6-7 today, so... There we go. So yeah, here, let them load the final proper results. Here we go. So the poll has been locked and the results are not yet in. We're going to do a final confirmation for media team. Click the I that says show results. There's a red color thing, previous, an I, next, no. Yeah, there we go. So, okay, media team, can you please close the poll? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so results are in. So judges, you'll put 7.3 points for Team Halal Falafels and 2.7 points for Team Hakims and Chachu. So as you know, we have the silent auction going on. So media team, can you please display the QR code of the results, of the QR code for the forms. So the silent auction will be a QR code that will come up and will display some pictures of some art that have been done by the audience. And you're allowed to put in a bid of how much you'd like to bid. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure where the money is going. So I know it's not in my pocket, that we know. But I know I'm not really, we'll confirm later on where the money is going, but I'm sure it's going to be a very good cause. So please put as much as you can, as much as you're able to. Inshallah, it's going for a good cause. There you go. Judges, are we ready? Okay, let's come on to my messages. So Sheikh Zuhair has come, Sheikh Zainul Abidin. So please put as much as you're able to. Please put which art you'd like, which art you'd want to buy. You can hang it up nicely in your house, in your bedroom, at your door, wherever you'd like. Hey, Sheikh Zainul Abidin is strict. Oh, okay, these are some shocking results. I have my glasses today so I can see the numbers properly, don't worry about that. So, let me start off with Sheikh Zuhair's results. Team Hakim with 76 points and Team Falafel with 86 points. Please let's recite aloud salawat. Sheikh Zainul Abidin, I think it's not looking good for the points you've given us. I think Dr. Mazail will book your ticket back only to Iran. A lot of people, this debate has caused a lot of people to go back home. It's not a really good thing for unity within the community. But anyways, so Sheikh Zainul Abidin has given Team Hakim and Chachu 28.7 points and Team Halal Falafels, let's be correct, 72.3 points. Please let's recite aloud salawat. Now when Zerabas runs again and if he comes back, then we will bring you back, don't worry. Okay, so that means media team, can you show the final table for the finale? Please let's recite aloud salawat for Team Hakim and Chachu. And Dr. Mazair. Sheikh Zuhair, this is your brother, just in case you forgot that. Here we go. So, this is going to be our finale game. It is going to be Team Jamaat Jokers versus Team Halal Falafels. So, unfortunately, I will have to send you back to your seats, but please let's send them back with a loud salawat. Don't worry, you're still allowed, everyone here is allowed for niyaz, so don't worry. Even if you don't end up coming up first, you're still allowed for niyaz.
What is the motion?
The motion has been released. It's on SAAJ broadcast. Team Jamaat Jokers. Team Jamaat Jokers, can you please make your way to the front? One of them, two of their members, three of their members are all here. Please let's welcome them up with a loud salawats. Sorry? No, not yet. I'll get it later. Okay, so this is our finale round. Where's our cameraman? We don't have camera women, unfortunately, but cameramen, if they can make their way to just get the media and all. So now, okay, so before we start off the finale round, we will go through the bids of the highest bids that we received for each painting. So painting number 1, we have received, alhamdulillah, 2 responses of 3,000 Kenya shillings. So let's heat it up a bit more and let's rise it more. For the second painting, we have 8 responses, but I don't know how much the 8 responses are. So if it loads, inshallah, we shall. All of them are not loading. Oh wait, okay, here. Okay, so far for painting 1, we have the highest of 3,000 shillings. 2 people have put in 3,000 shillings. So inshallah, you can put that more and more for the rest of them, because they're so high right now that I can't even see them. But anyways, we'll come back to them at the end of the debate. So, both teams, you know the rules. Okay, so we want to go through the motions. Media team, can you please go to the next slide? Okay, so here is the motion. Let me pull it up. So this motion is a bit confusing, even for me. So the motion goes, the House believes our community's lack of preparedness is caused more by the culture we have built rather than the knowledge we lack. Big words that are being used. Thank you, Mehdi, for making my job a lot harder. So, yeah, I'm getting there. Don't worry. Pole pole. So the proposers, which is Team Jamaat Jokers, are going to argue that the environment, the norms, and the culture have discouraged growth. Even knowledgeable people don't thrive in the current community mindset. So for example, a point here could say that, we don't put barbecue every niyaz. So people can't grow as a community and they can't be prepared. Now the opposers are going to argue that the real issue is still lack of proper understanding and education, but culture would change if knowledge is improved. Done. Okay. Hi. Yeah. And then it's culture. Okay. So the rules, again, very simple. Please stay on to rubric. I think everyone is clear with that. We can go on to the rules. I'll summarize them quickly. Please stick to time. You know how the buzzer sounds. Please be respectful and kind to the other teams and participants. Any Quran or Hadith use must be authentic. The audience, if you'd like to appreciate them, please do it at the end once they finish their point. You will have the opportunity to vote at the end for the finale. And speaker one of both teams cannot rebuttal the other team. With that, I think we are clear. Everyone is ready? Team Jamaat Jokers, Team Halal Falafels, you ready? Okay. So with that, I'd now like to call up the proposing team from Team Jamaat Jokers. Please let's welcome up the first speaker with a loud salawat.
Respected judges, fellow opponents, and audience, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, we gather to discuss a critical yet a very important question. Why is our community not prepared? Is it because we lack knowledge, or is it because despite knowing, we do not act? We firmly believe that the real issue is not ignorance. It is the culture we have created, a culture of delay, comfort, distraction, and dependence, which prevents knowledge from becoming action. The Quran tells us in Surah Rad, Surah number 13, Ayah 11, indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a person until they change themselves. Knowledge alone does not change behavior. Culture and environment do. We already have knowledge, but we do not act. Why? Our community has access to a lot of knowledge. Islamic speakers and lecturers coming a lot. Books translated into every language, English, Farsi, Arabic. Yet, we don't take advantage. Scholars are available online, majalis every week. Yet, preparation is missing. The Quran again tells us in Surah Anbiya, Surah number 21, verse 35, and we will test you with evil and good as a trial, and to us you will be returned. Trials are meant to see whether knowledge is translated into action, and ignorance is not the problem. Behavior shaped by culture is. Our culture normalizes comfort but not responsibility. We have built a culture where religion is not lived. This shows that formal knowledge, prayer or ritual without proper culture, focuses discipline and sincerity is ineffective. I'll go back to my previous point. Today, like I said, knowledge is widely accessible via the internet, books, and education. So lack of access is no longer a valid excuse for ignorance. It's just ourselves. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Brother Kumel, for starting off the finale round strong and I think into it. Now, as said before, I know we're hungry, but we'll get almost, the chicken is almost ready. We just have to boost the heat up a bit more. So with that, I'd now like to welcome Team Halal Falafel's first speaker, Brother Kumel Ali Murji. Please welcome him with a loud salawats.
So, Assalamu alaikum once again. So, we will basically be opposing this motion because it diagnoses the symptom but ignores the disease. So, culture does not grow out of nowhere. Culture grows from what people understand. And if our community lacks preparedness, spiritually, socially, and intellectually, it is not because we built the wrong culture. It is because we never built deep understanding. Yes, we attend majalises, we mourn, we speak about awaiting Imam Mahdi, but let me ask you something uncomfortable, yeah? If Imam returned tonight, would we understand the system, the justice system that he wants? Or would we just be here for, like, we'd be happy for his arrival, like, you know, joining along with the vibes or something like that? We have information everywhere, yeah? But information is not knowledge. We know the story of Karbala, but do we know and understand the political betrayal, the psychology of fear, the sociology of power? Without depth, religion becomes symbolic. Without understanding, faith becomes seasonal. Culture then becomes shallow because the foundation beneath it is shallow. We are not suffering from rebellion. We are suffering from superficiality. And superficial knowledge produces superficial preparedness. So you go, you join the hype, basically, and you're not intellectually ready. Culture is the fruit, and knowledge is the root. And if the fruit is weak, we must examine the soil. I think that's all.
So thank you for starting off the debate in a nice, friendly manner. So we'll now be moving on to the second speaker of Team Jamaat Jokers. Let's hope they don't come up and crack some jokes. Please let's welcome Brother Shabab Chaudhry, the loud salawat.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, again, we're discussing that it is not lack of knowledge, it's not lack of knowledge that makes us not prepared for the arrival of our Imam, but rather the culture. Everyone has a culture, right? Every culture has good, every culture has bad. We have access to knowledge. We have, again, as my fellow proposer had said, is that we have access to sheikhs, we have access to books, we have access to a number of ways for us to gain knowledge, for us to understand. But are we using them correctly? Are we going forward to read them? Why? Yes, we are reading them, but are we understanding them? Again, I said every culture has good and bad, right? We have some stuff that help us in our religion, and we also have stuff that are harmful. Some of our... We define culture as almost entirely intellectual or spiritual, but that is a bit narrow. Our culture also includes habits, our practices, and our norms and behaviors, things that we do as a community. Culture is not just the outcome of understanding, but it is also what creates understanding. People learn their values and their discipline and identity through cultural practices before they're able to gain intellectual knowledge. To say culture depends on understanding flips everything. They claim that we are suffering from superficiality, but we have no measurable evidence for that. They insist that community has no depth, no preparedness, and no intellectual foundation. But this assertion is not proof that any of that is true. We have educational institutions, scholars, youth programs, Islamic study circles, and widespread access to global scholarship and leadership. To generalize the entire community as superficial is inaccurate and unfair. The idea that if the Imam returned tonight, would we understand his system is sure powerful, but it is also speculative. You ask us whether we would understand the Imam's justice system if he returned tonight, but this is hypothetical to provoke fear, and not something that is rational in an argument. A culture's value cannot be judged based on imaginary future scenarios. The debate must stand on concrete reality, what is happening now, and not something that may happen. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali.
Ahsant, Brother Shabab. I'm seeing the faces Team Halal Falafels are making, and it's so interesting. It's like, the lion is ready to eat the deer. Anyways, I've been informed that the money for the auction will be going for Africa Federation Solidarity Day. We're celebrating the month of Sha'ban, the month of the Imam of our time. So this money, inshallah, will be going there. The paintings has also been judged, and the winners will be receiving a cash prize at the end of the event today. So now let's call our second speaker from Team Halal Falafels, Brother Irfan Nanji. Please let's welcome him with the loud salawats.
Imagine a student failing an exam. Then he goes up to the teacher and he says, you guys are sitting your exam soon, right? He says, I blame my environment. But the examiner asks him, did you study? He says, no, I didn't study. I had a nice culture. I had a nice school culture that was making me feel like I was in a class studying. People around me, they promoted that culture, the culture of studying. But did you actually study? That's the real question. So yes, our community's lack of preparedness is the same. Culture reflects what we understand, but shallow knowledge produces shallow outcomes. So I'll start with Surah Ankabut, verse number 43. And these examples we present to them, but none will understand them except those of knowledge. So let's look in history. The people of Kufa knew who Imam Hussein was. They wrote letters, they pledged support. But when fear came, the conviction in their heart collapsed. Why? Because their knowledge was not rooted. It was emotional. It wasn't rooted anywhere. It wasn't rooted in the belief of Imam Hussein. It was rooted in something of an emotional attachment, an emotional culture. Deep understanding produces unshakable loyalty, Hazrat Abbas. Surface familiarity produces panic, Yazid. Today, we face the same risk. We know names, we know stories, we know rituals, we know what we've practiced, but do we really understand why imama is a system of governance, right? Why justice requires intellectual courage, knowledge, why preparation requires literacy, not just love, not just the alam, not just the tabut, it requires knowledge. When knowledge is shallow, religion becomes event-based. Faith becomes reactive. Commitment becomes convenience. I can be committed. Anyone can be committed. I can say it. But do I show it through my knowledge? Then culture adapts to comfort, just as you said. Culture is comfort. That culture that is created is comfort because it was never intellectually challenged with logical proofs of knowledge. We say youth lack discipline. But were they taught the philosophy of discipline? If we truly want a generation to be ready for the Imam, we must raise thinkers. Because culture does not create thinkers. The thinkers create the culture. Ahsant.
Thank you, Brother Irfan, for that. The points you mentioned at the beginning, that, the school culture and all are the same points I tell my dad when I fail the exam. Anyways, moving on. I'd now like to welcome the closing speaker for Team Jamaat Jokers. Please let's have a nice comedy show. Brother Arkan Ali Qasim, please let's welcome in the loud salawats.
Assalamu alaikum. I just would like to discuss these false analogies that have been made. You compare a student failing an exam with a community lacking preparedness, but these are not equivalent situations. A student controls his own studying. A community's preparedness involves complex social, historical, political, and spiritual factors, not just about studies. You give an unsupported assumption. Our culture is only emotional. You insist culture is emotional, surface level, and not intellectually rooted, but you provided no evidence. Opponents will say, you claim our community's knowledge is shallow, but you give zero proof. Where's the data? Where's the research? You misuse the Quranic verse, Surah Ankabut 29:43. The verse says that only knowledgeable people understand analogies, but this does not prove that culture is invalid or weak. You argued that the people of Kufa betrayed Imam Hussein because their knowledge was shallow. History, however, is far more complex. Political oppression, threat of execution by Ibn Ziyad, socio-political instability, fear of retaliation against families. You oversimplify the comparison, Hazrat Abbas versus Yazid. You contrast Hazrat Abbas and Yazid as deep understanding versus surface familiarity. This is too simplistic. Yazid's actions were not due to surface familiarity. They were political, strategic, and rooted in power. Abbas's loyalty was not just knowledge, it was upbringing, spirituality, and identity. You claim that culture does not create thinkers. This first. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I think we'll be standing here till tomorrow. Anyways, don't worry, it's good. It's in good faction. I think Arkan Ali has sealed the deal for Team Jamaat Jokers. They call themselves Jokers, but I think in reality they're a lot bigger than Jokers. I would now like to call up the practical priest of our community, Zerabas Uncle Kimji. Please let's welcome him with a loud salawat to close his team's remarks. Thank you.
You know, when I was told that Brother Arkan said that Karbala was emotional, movement, I was just confirming. Did you say that? Political. Karbala was a political movement. Is that what you said? Terrible, terrible. No wonder the culture has finished us. So, our esteemed judges and audience, knowledge is the root. Culture is the branch. Culture may guide us, but it cannot transform what we do. And as Brother Irfan quoted the verse of Surah Ankabut. Second, access doesn't equal effort. Having lectures, books, and online majalis without personal effort, none of it becomes action. Allah reminds us in the Quran, and do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge, not no culture. Indeed, the hearing, the sight, and the heart, about all of those one will be questioned. Third, sincerity and preparation come from understanding. Rituals without comprehension collapse under pressure. Finally, culture cannot replace accountability. Culture may be inherited, but knowledge is chosen. On the day of judgment, no one will be asked about cultural norms. They will be asked about what they understood and acted upon. In closing, if we want a community truly prepared for the Imam of our time, we must cultivate understanding first, because culture follows conviction, and conviction cannot follow ignorance. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I think we should have, at the end of the time, or would have launched confetti everywhere to, close the finale. But thank you for sealing the deal and closing the final argument. I mean, it has been amazing debate. I think so. I'm sure all of you have enjoyed. And I think next event has to be SAAJ, SYU stand-up comedian. Now, the benefit of having a lot of sheikhs within the audience is that one of them will notice a mistake. So now I'd like to welcome Sheikh Khalfan, who has noticed a mistake, to come and bring it up and address it. Please let's welcome him up with a loud salawat.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Generally, the debate went very nicely. We had some very good speakers. I never saw them speak so well. And Alhamdulillah, it was very beautiful. But I have my own opinion, and I would like to humbly inform you what my opinion is. In the first debate, we saw that there was I have jotted it down. I would like to be a bit accurate. So, recite a salawat, please. That it was community versus the youth having an incentive and community. My idea is that the community is the thing that facilitates a situation for the youth to be motivated. Even if the youth get knowledge, for example, let's say you got knowledge from ChatGPT or wherever you got knowledge, maybe in the school, in the madrasa, you think that would motivate you sufficiently? But let us say you had a community that motivates, and we have lots of experience of the past of the communities being so adhering to Islam and its norms and its values that the youth were very powerful. You look at, for example, a very good example is, in fact, our community in Nairobi some years ago, because I was a young boy when I was here. Standard 2 is where I started when we left Mombasa and we came here. And we came to realize that it was a community that actually motivated us what to do and what not to do. You can't be motivated just like that. Just because, let's say, somebody brought a good idea that, yes, you have to do physical exercise and you have to do this and that, would motivate you. This I do not agree. This motivation doesn't come. You need the community. Now, obviously, the past communities were very powerful. Personally, I saw that the youth were motivated. We would be taken to places outside for recreational activities. We would be facilitated with such madrasa teachers that actually taught us what is iffa and what is aql and so many beautiful values that I myself have learned. I can even name some of the teachers like Marhum Razadatu, who was a teacher of mine in Quran appreciation, and the things that I learned from him. And not only that, the ambience in the class and the ambience in the society as a whole, I feel that has a very powerful role in motivating the youth. But if you just leave the youth just like that, yes, with that beautiful verse that one of you quoted, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not change a community except when they individually change them. But this individual change needs an environment. And so I feel community is where such an environment can be brought about, and then the youth are attracted. But let's say the youth, let's say, for example, you are not in this community. You just went to another mosque, all right? But you met some of your brothers here and there. Community would not do anything for you. You think you would be able to climb the stairs of perfection? Of course not. It is the community that facilitates the right, for example, Sheikh to come and speak. It is the community that facilitates the right, for example, timings to recite the ad'iyah, the kind of, for example, place and so on. This is how we were brought up. So this is, actually it's my view. I don't want to go against you guys. You are, all of you are respected people, I know. From the depths of my heart I'm saying. So this is the first. The second is culture versus knowledge. Zahir Abbas here gave us the principle of everything. That what is the root? The root is knowledge. And what is the culture? It's branch. But this root, this culture cannot come about without knowledge. That's true. But then without the culture, that knowledge is useless. You know why? Because there are so many people who are knowledgeable today, but they don't have any culture. And culture is not that it has like another brother, I think brother Shabab, your name. It's a very beautiful name, Shabab, youth. He said about culture and knowledge, you said something very beautiful. It just left my mind just now. But then I wanted to stress the fact that culture is created gradually after knowledge. Now, let us say if a person has knowledge, there are so many people who have knowledge, but the culture is not created. Yes, now I remember what he said. He said culture has bad things and good things. I don't agree to that. Culture in its absolute sense, yes. But culture which is dictated by Islamic norms doesn't have any bad. Who says the culture has bad and good? If you say it in the absolute sense, yes. We have different cultures. Some are bad, some are good. In the culture we have, for example, we can judge the Western culture, for example, the Chinese culture and other cultures of different religions. But when you come to Islam, we can't say that Islam has bad culture and good culture. No, it has only good culture. La ratbin wa la yabisin illa fi kitabim mubin. And the Quran is giving you the best of all kinds of culture. This is number one. Number two, culture includes knowledge. It's not that knowledge should be separated from culture. Look at the definition of culture. You Google what is the definition of culture. Look at the dictionaries. You will find culture cannot be segregated from knowledge. This is number two. Number three, when the culture is there, for example, the culture of reading is created in the community. Then the young person says, okay, then I have to study, I have to read. But let's say that was not there. Then you would not have. So culture, as he rightly said, Zahir Abbas, is the fruit and the branch of the root. But this branch cannot come about easily. The root is necessary. But there are so many people who have the roots, but there is no branch after that. The culture is not there. So I personally believe that when the culture, a good culture like Islamic culture, is created in a society, that would now motivate the youth to even study and learn. Today you tell me how many people take a book at home. Most of them are in the Instagram. I'm not saying they look at the bad sites. No, I'm saying that because there is no culture of reading. And if a person even tells you, reading is very good, read, and you will get perfection, that is not enough. And we have seen that. So many of the shuyukh also have come and they have talked about spiritual perfection. They have given very nice lectures, alhamdulillah. And we have been blessed from different parts of the world. But we find there is no rejuvenation, there is no transformation. Okay, because there is that culture in some of the families, that is why you find that, some of the youth are progressing and they are becoming better. So this is my own view. I just want to again stress this, that I would propose that culture is more important, and that would facilitate people to study and then slowly and gradually get that culture that was created, all right? But we need that. It's like, you need the support of parents slowly and gradually to make you grow, and then you become parents, all right? So this is the way I take it. But as I said, alhamdulillah, the discussion was very nice, and the brothers did a wonderful job. I saw some of the points that Zahir Abbas brought were so accurate. I don't know where he read it. I would like to ask him that where did he get these so accurate points that he brought about. But this is the crux of the thing, that Culture is the fruit of knowledge. But you need a culture so that you say, okay, I have to seek knowledge. I have to go to this book. I have to read this book. I have to read Dua Kumail. I have to progress myself. Otherwise, there is no progress. I'm talking about, leave alone the youth. Even the ulama. I can give you some examples of ulama who studied in Qum for many years. But then they did blunders that we cannot even express. They were known as Ayatullah. They were known as, people who were very learned. But there was no practice. So when there was no practice, there was no culture, the proper culture that should be created. So knowledge can be there. Many people have knowledge. Because I'm in the field of Islamic mysticism, I'll tell you one very good example, which is very tangible. One of the most profound texts of mysticism is known as Fususul Hikam. Bezels of wisdom. It talks about the wisdoms of the different prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a very deep text. There is a society known as Ibn Arabi Society, which does a lot of work about, books like this and so on. And I got some news that there is a French woman, so-and-so, who is translating this very important text, Fususul Hikam, and taking red wine while she's translating. Now look at this. A person who is drinking wine and translating one of the most important books. And not that her translation is bad, no. She has really worked on that knowledge. So you might be having so much knowledge, but the result is not there. So the culture, as Zair Abbas said, is the fruit, is the branch actually of that root. So even if the root is there, but the branch is not there, that means that the root is not there. It's just that knowledge. It doesn't have its action that follows. So anyway, sorry, I took a lot of time. I was given about 5-10 minutes, but these are the opinions that I have. Inshallah, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to actually make these beautiful youth that came and presented to be even more powerful in their speech and in their understanding and comprehension of religion. One of the things that we lack, I'll tell you, and it's very important, because today you don't have any excuse. There was a time when you would say, we don't have any book. Now where to read, how to buy these books, where? Now it's not like that. Today we are so affluent with literature and speeches and all that, that a person should not say that, this is far-fetched for us. So we should go to the profound aspect of religions and progress accordingly, inshallah. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin al-ma'sumin.
Thank you, Sheikh Khalfan, for that. I think you've summarized our whole debate in a few minutes. Dr. Muluddin, your dua was accepted very quickly, I think, today. Inshallah, you should pray for us all, then all our duas will be accepted quickly. So now, I'd now like to welcome, not far from Sheikh Muhammad Khalfan, but his son, Sheikh Zainul Abidin, for just one point of clarification that he'd like to bring up. Please let's bring up with a loud salawats.
Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You see, the more delayed this event becomes, the more delicious the food that will come after. But just a point of clarification, that there was good points from both sides, but a part of the reason why my blade of voting was so severe and I was giving 20 and 70 and like this, it was because of coordination. It was because of the other elements like the rebuttals. Sometimes it did not pertain to the content. Engagement and persuasiveness took a kind of point, and also your own votes. So a lot of these, the drastic numbers were related to that, not only content. And with this, recite 3 salawats, please.
Thank you, Sheikh Zainul Abidin. Now, We are very delayed on time, so I'd like to request media team, can we please just jump to the results section, because it'll also have the QR code and we can see the results live as well. I don't have eyes behind my head, so I can't see, so I have to keep turning around it. But don't worry, our media team is working very hard to ensure that it comes on time and as fast as possible. Oh, there we go, it's come. Alright, so you can scan the QR code and we are seeing the results live. We are only going to be very quick, so please scan and place your vote quickly. Have you rigged these votes? You, because it's just going in your direction only. Oh, it's tawakkal. Not taqwa. I think you told Dr. Mauladina to pray for you today. Okay, I'm closing the vote in 5, 4, 3, 2, can you get to 6, 7, 1, and let's close the vote there. Thank you very much, media team. Ooh, that was a very close comeback. But judges, we will add 5.8 points for Team Halal Falafels and 4.2 points for Team Jamaat Jokers. No, you're more. Yeah. I think you told the person that was voting, you didn't explain to them clearly. No, it updates live on our side. Yours is the tawakkal. So I'm not going to get these results on WhatsApp, but rather on a piece of paper so we can find out the news together. Remember, please make sure to bid for the artworks that we have on the silent auction. The QR code will come up in a bit. So please ensure to keep on bidding. We will announce it very soon, the highest bid. So please boost it up as fast as possible. There we go. All right. And no, just give the... Okay. So, in 3, 2, 1. So Team Jamaat Jokers, Sheikh Zuhair gave them 56.2 points, while, Sheikh Zainul Abidin gave them 56.2 points, and Team Halal Falafels got 85.8 points. Sheikh Zuhair was a bit more fair and a bit more tighter, where he gave Team Jamaat Jokers 85 points and Team Halal Falafels 82 points. Now, that means, let me get my calculator up quickly. 86.2 plus 100 divided by 2. Okay, so these are the results. Team Jamaat Jokers got an average of 70 points, while Team Halal Falafels got an average of 84 points. That means our winner for this debate is Team Halal Falafels. Please let's recite aloud salawat. So now I'd like to welcome the chairman of this committee, brother, the person that's planned all of this. I have to be quick, brother Mehdi Rojani. Please let's welcome him with the loud salawat.
We will not take your time any longer than we need to. It's just we need to announce some results for the art competition and just give a bit of foreground about the event. To start us off, one of the major reasons why we planned an event such as this is because both Rehan and I study in Aga Khan Academy, which is an Ismaili school. Recently, their Aga Khan came and they took us around and showed us the preparations they did for their Aga Khan. They're not necessarily the most righteous person, they're not necessarily the most right people, but if you saw the preparation they did for their Imam, you would be really impressed. So we need to ask ourselves, how much preparation can we do for our Imam? How many times have we sat down as a community and said, what are our roles? What are our responsibilities? We look at groups such as Labbaik, SYU, or Anjuman, and we look at the discussions happening there, how relevant are they to the preparation of the Imam of our time? So that's the question we wanted to answer here today. There are a lot of people we need to thank in this vote of thanks. The first one is Sheikh Muhammad Khalfan, to whom we thank for sacrificing his precious time to provide us a share of his precious knowledge. We would also like to thank the Ladies Tabligh Committee to help us organize the event as well as the art competition. We would also like to thank the SAAJ MC as well as the Tabligh Committee for trusting us and empowering us to deliver such an event. This event, ladies and gentlemen, is one of its kind because this event has been entirely planned from a small youth group aged 18 to 16. From your menu to your marketing to your event ideas, everything has been planned from the youth group from ages 8 to 18. So I'd like to thank all my friends and all the boys who are helping us to plan this event. We'd also like to thank our F&B team with Sajjad Uncle Jafar, who has prepared an amazing menu for all of us here today. We'd also like to thank Sajid Uncle and the support staff as well for planning this entire setup and the stage and the podium. We know it's not easy and their efforts go unnoticed. Thank you so much. With that, we'd like to announce the winners of the art competitions. So what we did is that we split it from under 18 and over 18 to make it a bit more fair. And here are the results as follows. We will start with over 18. From third position, from first to call forward to receive the prizes, we have our chair lady, Sister Sabia Hassanali, to please come forward and give the winners their prizes. Let's do that with a salawat, please.
Mehdi, which prizes is she receiving?
No, she's giving. From over 18, in third position, we had Sayyid Sahar Asad. Can you please request them to come forward? They're not here. Okay, perfect. From second position, we had Fatima Ammar Rashid, who is also not here. This is the painting, by the way. Hussein is showing it for you. Media room, if you can zoom into the painting, please. And on first position for over 18, we had Zara Jafar. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. First position? First position. Is this one? This is the first position event for over 18. For under 18, we had from third position, we had Sakina J. They didn't write their surname, I apologize. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. On second position, we had Alia Jafar. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjam. And in first position, we had this beautiful painting done by Zoya Qasam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjam. And with that, we would like to close the event. Again, reminder, this is a first-timer event from all of us over here. Therefore, any feedback that can be given, we would appreciate it as well. Any criticism, any good positive things, you can please share it with us. Inshallah, we hope to serve the community at a much more, we hope to serve the community again and again, and at a much better pace and in a much better manner. Thank you so much.
SAAJ 2027.
Thank you so much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now I'd like to do ziyarat. Brother Kumail Kataw will lead us, inshallah. Ladies, we'd like to request once ziyarat is done, if you can move to the back and close the curtains, and we'll get the boys to help out with the chairs. Inshallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليك يا مولاي يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا مولاي يا أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب السلام عليك يا مولاتي يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدتي نساء العالمين السلام عليك يا مولاي يا حسن المجتبى السلام عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله الحسين سيد الشهداء السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا سيد زينب أقيلة بني هاشم السلام عليك يا مولاي علي بن الحسين زين العابدين السلام عليك يا مولاي محمد الباقر السلام عليك يا مولاي مولاي جعفر الصادق. السلام عليك يا مولاي موسى الكاظم. السلام عليك يا مولاي علي الرضا. السلام عليك يا مولاتي فاطمة المعصومة. السلام عليك يا مولاي محمد الجواد. السلام عليك يا مولاي علي الهادي. السلام عليك يا مولاي حسن الأسكري. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب العصر والزمان. سيدي الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توبا وتمتعه فيها طويلا.
So just a few announcements as we start preparing for Niyaz. There were a few photos that were not put onto the Google Forms that will be displayed now. And the team of Halal Falafels have announced that their prize money will be going, inshallah, to Caring and Sharing and ABSN. And SYU have pledged with their ongoing collaboration with CHEPS to sponsor a child's school fees as SYU. So please let's recite aloud salawats. I now welcome you to enjoy the amazing barbecue that has been prepared.
Hello.